What's up, everybody? It is I, Tevin El Chapo. Friends call me Chop. We are back with another episode of Chop Logic. You know, we got a special guest. You know, we've been talking about some things offline that we ain't gonna speak on the show, but we got a special guest. You know, we got a filmmaker, director, producer. She has much experience in many different fields in the creative space. You know, worked in radio for years. You know, you just listen. She done a lot of stuff. So I appreciate her coming through. We got Ra, aka Rashida, here on the show today. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, sir.
Anytime. So listen, you know what I mean? Like I said, without some of the stuff we was just speaking on, because that's just going to stay offline forever.
Gotta stay offline forever, yes.
Kind of just give people like some of your backstory, you know what I mean? Just like who you are, what you done, and just, you know, the things that you're looking to do in the future.
Okay. So who am I? My name is Rashida, but I go by Ra because, I mean, that's what just everybody call me. I'm a D.C. girl, born and raised. I'm from Washington, D.C., Southeast, so a bit of a city girl, if you will, retired city girl, okay? And so I started out actually doing media-based stuff when I worked in radio. I used to work at a radio station in DC, a really popular one. So that kind of got me in the door of the media space, you know, meet celebrities, doing all this different stuff. But I was like, I don't really want to do this. Like, I don't think I want to actually be on air. I did some podcasts independently. And same thing, I was like, I like this, but I don't necessarily want to be on air, even on camera. So then I started working at the radio station, but I pivoted to doing like indie web series, and I fell in love with it. Of course, when you don't have no money, all you filmmakers out there, you pretty much do everything yourself. Mm-hmm. And I started doing boom. I was doing producer work. I was doing PA work. I was doing everything to kind of bring that project together. It was my very first web series, and worked on it with a colleague of mine, and it did really well. It was my foot in the door, and from there I started kind of writing my own stuff, and I was like, ooh, I think I want to do this. But I had a regular 9-to-5. Shout out to HU Howard. I worked at Howard's financial aid for almost 8-9 years, so I was doing that full time to make my coins, and I was still like pursuing radio and media in general, like kind of part time. And then once I fell in love with it, it was up. And in the future, what I want to do, like, y'all going to see what I'm going to do. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have TV shows, films, things like that, live on and hopefully make my mark in this film community.
I feel that for sure. That's what's up. You know, so in terms of like just like your upbringing and everything like that, what kind of like made you want to pivot into being in creative spaces like that? Were you just a fan of film and television, radio and stuff like that before? Were you kind of just like testing it out and then ended up just kind of getting deeper into it? Like, what was that like for you?
So I had a rough upbringing, as a lot of people do, especially growing up in Southeast. And I pretty much used to watch so many television shows and movies as like an escape of my reality. I would write when I was younger, but I never thought that those things would lead me to a creative space. Like, I didn't grow up knowing I was going to be a creative. I grew up kind of just like, hopefully I make it to see the next day, you know, because the life I was living, I was kind of reckless. So I kind of didn't know what I was going to do in life. But those things always kind of prepared me. I took like a film course in college, and I was like, oh, okay, I like this. Even going to college, like, I'm gonna be real, I went to college to get away from my family. I ain't really want to go to college. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. But then I ended up doing well in college, so it was like, oh, all right. But I still didn't know what I wanted to do. And honestly, my background is actually in politics. I actually studied mass communication, but I minored in international affairs. And for a long time, I wanted to work on Capitol Hill in politics. I interned at the White House under Obama's administration.
I was trying to see what president he's going to name.
Obama's administration, okay?
I was going to say, we got her.
Listen, so I interned there, and I did it, and it was boring. I'm not going to hold you. I was like, bruh, like, this is it. And the only time I had like that sense of fun was when I got to work in the art department. They have an art department in the White House where when people send gifts or arts or anything like that, like, it's called the gifts department. Excuse me.
Okay.
You get to basically sort it out, see it, store it, send stuff to the archives, all that stuff. So it was pretty cool. But that's the only time I was like really interested. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I actually could do politics. And I ended up getting an offer to work for one of the senators. Or at the same time, it was like, or do you want to do radio? And they came at the same time, and it was like, all right, what do you want to do? So I was like, I tried the White House. Let's see if I do well at this internship at the radio station. I loved it. And from there, I was like, yeah, I think I want to stay in this radio field and just do this. But at the same time, I just was not taking anything serious. I started doing my own little interviews and stuff just to try to pivot and see what I really wanted to do. One thing I will say is if you don't try different things, then you never know exactly what you are meant to do. But I think, yeah, life was just preparing me for this journey of filmmaking. And at the time, I didn't know it.
Oh, for sure. That's dope. That's dope. It's funny that you say that you have experience like in the political field as well. So I kind of just speak towards the importance of just creativity or just, filmmaking in general in this current political climate that we in.
Ooh, listen, it's a lot going on under this administration. I think it's important for creatives to use their platform and their voices to speak in a storytelling way, a creative way about the things that we see, the things and the injustices that are impacting us as Black people. Especially in this climate, we have a lot of funding being cut. We have it's hard right now to be a creative, honestly, especially if you're going to be a freelancer and you're still working for it, because we are storytellers. We are like the voice behind, we are the voice behind a lot of change. And I feel like with them cutting programs, with people not really recognizing like how important creatives are to the political climate, we kind of always play the backside of things. Look at Sinners. I didn't watch Sinners yet, but from the details that I'm getting from Sinners, it's really rooted in like Black culture, Black this, Black that. And we need creatives and we need like us to be able to push our stories and tell our stories in these type of times and this type of climate, because things is about to start. It's already going left. So things going to keep going left under this administration. And as Black people, we got to remember, like, we can overcome anything anyway. So
For sure. I just saw Sinners a couple days ago.
yeah,
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Lucky you.
Hey, I had to make the time, It's the only anticipated movie that I had.
Yeah, me too.
And Ryan Coogler excels at just being creative and just not even just being a creative, but just doing research on the things that he's working on. So it's a lot more nuances than even like a trailer would expect for a movie like that. Kind of just even to that point, like what are some of the filmmakers that you seen in the field actually doing a thing that you admire or you respect or that you've garnered an appreciation for?
Oh, John Singleton.
Rest in
Right,
peace.
because I grew up watching Boys in the Hood. I grew up watching stuff like that, not knowing that stuff like that was going to impact me. But when you grow up in the hood, you watching something like Boys in the Hood is very like relative to your life. But John Singleton, Spike Lee, Do the Right Thing. I remember watching Do the Right Thing in school days and being like, yo, what is that shot? What is it that he's doing? Without me knowing anything about film, where I was going to go. Spike Lee. Who else? Ava DuVernay, like Jordan Peele. I want to say Jordan Peele a lot because when I watched Get Out, it changed me. I feel like that was the moment that I knew I was going to do this, to be real. I was sitting in the movie theaters. I was watching it, and I'm like, okay, like, what is this about? No one was in the movie theaters at that time because it was like, oh, what is this really going to be about? This is before it got so popular and it was selling out. And I was in there and I was watching it at an advanced screening, and I'm like, this just changed my life. This changed the way that I look at horror. I'm a big horror girl. Don't talk about how I say horror. I'm a big horror girl.
I wasn't until you said
Listen,
that.
I know how I say it, and people are like, what? Horror, okay? But I'm a big horror girl, and I grew up watching like a lot of slashers and all this stuff. So him to take like racism, throw it in our face in a horror movie and make it like at the same time funny, and I don't know, like it blew me away, and I was like, I want to do that. Can I cuss on here?
Sure.
You know, I'll be cussing. Damn.
I'm not sure.
Trying not to cuss as often these days, but so I was like, damn, this just blew me away. And so I could name more. I feel like I'm missing a lot of people, but to those people for sure, I feel like has impacted me, and they've been people, Ryan Coogler, yeah, they've been people that I'm like, oh yeah, I think that I want to do this forever, and I want to be able to tell stories in a way that these people have been able to tell stories.
For sure, I understand. As a fellow creative, it's important for us to have our voices heard in these situations. There was times where we weren't given opportunities like this, or like a Ryan Coogler or a Jordan Peele.
Yes.
And a lot of these people had to like basically fight and just even sometimes get lucky to get good opportunities like that. So, like what would you say are some of the things that you've seen where people may not have gotten the best opportunities, but they've still been able to basically overcome and get their voices heard regardless in your experiences?
In my own experiences?
Yeah.
I could talk about myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So when I did start out on this journey, like I say, I really had no idea what I was doing. And I was just trying to figure out my way, find my way. And my very first short film, pretty much I did it on my own. And one thing I will say, if you're a creative, especially as filmmakers, you cannot do this alone. You can go into it thinking that, but you're gonna get overwhelmed. It's gonna be a lot. You need a team to help you. And when you're first starting out, it could become very like, what's the word? It could deter you because it's like, dang, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an overthinker. I have anxiety. So when I went into my first short, I wrote it. And I wrote everything. I scouted the location by myself. I had to slowly build up a team. And the person that I was working with at the time was supposed to be someone that was supposed to help me, mentor me, guide me. That didn't work out that way. And so I feel like I had to overcome shooting my very first short film, A Short Walk Home, which is a horror-based film. And I like freaked out. I panicked on set because I was doing like the boom operating. You don't have no money. So it's like, oh my gosh, it was too much. And I was doing it on my own, and I felt inadequate, and I felt like I had no idea what I was doing. And I had to like collectively like collect myself and say, you know what? It's too much going on. Let's have a pickup day. Like at the end of the day, I love the end result. And one thing I learned in that moment is like, don't let anybody like try to tell the story for you. Like, be okay to tell your story, because sometimes working with men in a male-dominated industry, men will most certainly try to tell you what's what or tell you what it is. But that was a time that I personally had to overcome a difficulty, because I swear I was like, I'm just going to give up. I don't think I'm going to do this. I don't want to drop the short. Then on the editing side, I didn't know what I was doing. It wasn't going well. So I was like, dang, did I spend all of my resources doing this and it's never going to drop? And I shot it October 2022. And it was supposed to release that year. It didn't come out. And I ended up just saving it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to drop it the following year. Fast forward, like 2 years later, I won a film festival, Los Angeles Independent Film Festival, don't quote me on that, for best short thriller. And so I say all that to say, like, difficulties gonna come, and then you just gotta rock with it, trust in God, and like don't allow negative things to deter you. Don't allow people to deter you, because I sure was like, this person not helping me. I don't know what I'm doing, so if he not willing to help, then how am I supposed to get it done? Like, I was relying upon everybody. And what I will say is, never be that person relying on, know everything, figure out how to pivot. Like, you got this. So that was just a difficulty for me personally. But I feel like in general, in my entire like childhood life, I've been overcoming obstacles growing up, how I kind of grew up.
No, I understand. That's good. I'm glad that you were able to overcome those things. Yeah. And, you're here today. So,
yeah, period.
Makes you stronger and just makes you better, of course.
Period.
So even just, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want you to kind of expand on it. Being a woman in the industry, I wouldn't know personally, but
right.
it can't be easy, So just kind of talk about the difficulties of being a woman in a predominantly male-dominated industry like this.
Listen, I'm just starting out. I'm not trying to get blackballed, but
I mean, you ain't gotta go too crazy into it, but
Listen,
just speak on it a little bit.
I will say in this industry, honestly, any media-based industry, because remember, I worked in radio. I feel like it's a bit of a boys' club, no matter the skin tone, like men are men. Like, it's predominantly men that do what we do. And I feel like as a woman, you have to be okay to not carry yourself a certain type of way. The first thing I learned in my internship, Miss Justine Love, shout out to her, she was like, look, if I give you this job, you're going to be around a bunch of celebrities, you're going to be around a bunch of people, don't be no groupie. And I hate to say it that way, but that was the best advice she could have gave me, because you are around certain lifestyles, certain people, and men will try you. Like, being a woman, especially, look, attractive woman, I'm not even popping my shit, but at the end of the day, like, being a attractive woman, a beautiful woman, pretty woman, whatever you want to call it, being a woman, having a vagina in general, men are gonna try you, and you have to have the mindset to be like, that's not what I'm on, this is business. And it happens so often that it's like, okay, all right. So I think that's part of the difficulty, that men will try to hit on you. Like, and then depend on the man, like, they may go about it in a different way, in a nice way, and it's like, no, this is business. At the end of the day, I take my business, my professionalism very serious. So I think that's a big factor of it. Like, men are gonna try to hit on you. Men are gonna try to. Some men will even try to pressure you into doing things that you don't want to do. And to any, like, especially women, young women, whatever, that see this, like, know your worth. Like, no, sir, go about your day. So I think that makes it hard. Sometimes coming into it as a woman, like, you literally will walk into a boys club. I experienced something on set that I hadn't experienced, where I seen, like, grown men just standing around, literally not really working, doing anything on set. And me and, the women I'm working with, we grinding, like, we hustling. And these people are getting moved up in opportunities that we aren't getting moved up in simply because they're men. So I'm not saying all men don't work hard. No, that's not what I'm saying. But in this situation, we were on set, these men weren't doing anything, and those are the same men that's in a position of power. A lot of the times when you walk into these spaces in media, men are the ones that are in the position of power to do the hiring, to do the firing. When we think about the networks, they're usually white men, right? I don't know, like, they're usually white men that are in a space to tell you kind of what's hot, what's not, according to money, according to numbers. So I feel like as a woman, especially as a black woman, we have a lot betting against us, but you just gotta come into these spaces, do your thing, be yourself, pop your shit, and everything is gonna come to you the way it's supposed to. But yeah, it could be difficult, but I overcome it just by remembering, like, God got me. Always. These people are resources. They are not the source. And that's something I hold true to myself all the time. Like, they're resources. They are not the source. What God got for me, can't no man stop. So. Okay.
Of course, everything's going to be what's supposed to be in divine timing.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a firm believer in that. And we here on Chop Logic, we are all inclusive, Yeah. Again, appreciate you for coming through, and just speaking your testimony on that. I know that you recently just moved to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Even just in the things that you just said, did you notice any difference in how men treat you here versus anywhere else, or?
I think that the men here are, like, they're nicer about it. But I have had instances where it's like, we're at a networking event, and, in my head, I'm like, we're networking, right? So it's not, I get it. Like, oh, she look, whatever, who cares? There's beautiful women everywhere. You got to, like, realize it's a time and a place. So I was at a festival, I won't say which one, and I had almost every guy there that I was trying to network with, like, what do you do? Like, oh, you produce, you direct, like, really trying to get to know them on a business tip. It was like, oh, you got a man? You single? So I will say they do it in a nicer way. It wasn't, like, right off the rip or, like, aggressive. Well, some people was getting a little aggressive, and I'm like, baby, ooh, slow your roll. I'm a DC shorty. Okay, we won't play all them games. But I will say, I feel like specifically, because one thing about Atlanta, if y'all don't know, there's transplants here in Atlanta. Like, most of the people that I meet they're not from Atlanta. And I was like, where are the Atlanta people? Like, where are they? I want to meet y'all, not people that from back home that, you know, like that moved out here. Like, that's great too. But
Yeah.
I wanted to meet a lot of like people from Atlanta. So I will say a lot of the men that I'm crossing, they're not even from Atlanta. So I can't even say like it's a good representation because they're up east or whatever the case may be. But I still feel like it's not as like in DC, a lot of the guys, hey, like they yell at you, like, what's up, hey, like,
yell
real,
at you
and it's
from
like,
across
what,
the street.
what's up then, what's up, let's come talk, what's up, you know. But here it's more like they try to approach you on a respectful tip, as they should. And I'm looking forward to meeting people that's from here, like you from Georgia, and it's like meeting people from Georgia versus transplants. I know y'all probably feel it all the time, but yeah, it's different.
Yeah, here's the thing about that. I'm not technically from Georgia per se.
Okay.
I've been here a very, very, very long time. I've been here longer than most transplants. My family moved here when I was 5. I'm 30.
Okay.
So I've been here 25 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, technically on paper, I wasn't born at Grady. Well, like a lot of these folks that be yelling this Atlanta stuff, this, that, and the third, bro, I done seen it all. I done heard it all. Y'all don't even know what street y'all on, talking about what is and isn't Atlanta. I'm like, it's a whole situation. So, you know, it does get frustrating from the standpoint of like, you know, people are always going to claim here that never been here, who been here maybe like 5 good minutes.
That's gonna be me. Yeah, Atlanta. It's like, nah, I'm joking.
I mean, look, it's all part of your truth. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like I feel I belong here more than I belong where I'm from. You know what I mean?
Right,
like my family is from Chicago. I was born in Chicago, but I don't know nothing about Chicago at this
Right.
point. I can tell you anything about Atlanta.
I'm a DC
I can tell you what
girl
Atlanta
through
used to
and
look
through.
like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've been here long enough to see things get towed down, to see things
Yeah.
get rebuilt, to see things come and go. You know what I mean? I remember the Georgia Dome. Rest in peace to Georgia Dome. You know what I'm saying?
Heard of
That's
it.
gone. You know what I mean? We ain't got that no more. So it's just a lot of stuff, man. I'm talking about when the Hawks still had Jeff Teague. You know what I mean? Like we still had, you know, Kyle Korver and them was going crazy. Man, like back when we still had the Thrashers, we had Thrashers. We had a hockey team.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, you can't even remember that.
know
Yeah,
that.
a lot of these folks don't
Okay.
remember we had hockey around here. You know what I mean? I remember as a kid, we used to get they used to give us like tickets for the games, but you know ain't nobody going for that. They used to give us tickets for either the Hawks games or the Thrashers games, and I don't know if it was just my luck. I always got the Thrasher tickets, and I never went to that shit. Never been to a Thrasher game day in my life. But
See, you should have, because then they don't exist.
I didn't. As a kid in elementary school, you're not gonna think like, oh, this team is
That's
not
true.
gonna be here
That's
10,
true.
15 years from now. Like, it's just a wherewithal thing. So, you know, we definitely do have a lot of transplants and a lot of people who, you know, don't necessarily know Atlanta or just know the space, which is fine.
What a culture.
But
It's
the
a lot of culture here in Atlanta.
Yeah, and a lot of it kind of gets honestly diminished
Yeah.
because of a lot of the transplants that come and they want to change and transition things, and you know it kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know traffic gets progressively worse every
Man,
year.
the traffic. Listen, from DC, the traffic is bad, but you could still make it someplace in 20, 30 minutes. Man, Atlanta, it'll say like, oh, it's going to take you 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, bet. And then that 20 turned into 40. And I'm like, oh, I should have left out a little bit earlier.
Nah,
So that's
yeah.
one thing I learned. I'm going to leave out a little bit earlier. But I definitely understand about the transplant thing because it's the same in D.C. Like, there's not D.C. natives that, like, are born and raised in D.C. And one thing folks from Virginia like to do is always say they from D.C. And it's like, you're not. You're from Virginia.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's not a problem. I feel like gentrification is it's happening everywhere, all the major cities. But I
100%.
definitely appreciate Atlanta. I feel like so far the people that I have met, transplant, natives, whatever, everybody has been very welcoming. And in my city, I love my city, but we're not always welcoming, especially to outsiders. And it's just that it's not that like we mean to be that way. It's the environment. When you grow up in like the hood or in DC, like there's certain parts of DC that's bougie, whatever. But there's a lot of parts in DC like it's poverty stricken or it's just the hood. I'm a Southeast girl, but I can't even say like I'm from a hood. Like I'm not from a hood. I'm from a street. South Capitol Street. And, you know, I grew up surrounding areas of the hood. So, you know, you become a product of your environment. You can't talk to everybody. You can't trust everybody. You can't really let your guard down. And I will say, being in Atlanta, I mean, I know you guys still be on your P's and Q's, but I have been able to have, like, genuine conversations with people and not feel like, what you want from me? What you doing? You know, like, so it's been a little bit different. I feel like I could breathe a little bit more, and it was kind of what was best for my career.
No, for sure. Yeah, you're a lot more comfortable walking the streets.
For sure. I mean, y'all got pew-pews down here, but...
Yeah, for sure.
Open carry. Well, there's pew-pews everywhere, actually.
We ain't gonna talk about the time we had to look for your car. And you didn't...
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, such a nice neighborhood. You're like, no, that's...
I'm like, I mean, it's cool, but I'm like...
So nice.
I wouldn't know where my car is, though, at the very least.
I'm like, oh, yeah, y'all break into cars real bad down here.
Yeah, that's hot. It's real hot out here, more than anything.
Well, I mean, that's becoming a thing at home, but I mean, depending on the area you go in, like, you could go to certain areas in DC and, like, be perfectly fine, perfectly safe. Downtown, the Capitol and stuff. And that's another thing. Growing up, I took that stuff for granted. I'm like, the White House, the Capitol. Oh, the Capitol, let's go walk it. Like, that's not stuff that we do. We're not tourists. So it's like, what am I doing that for? About to go walk to the corner store to curry out, get some chicken. That's what we're about to go walk and do. But here it's definitely different. I will say, so far, yeah, I'm like, you know, like, the climate is different, and I just feel like very welcomed here.
For sure. You know, we welcome to have you. You know, in terms of like having a pivot in the industry, have you had to do specific pivots because you moved, or just transitional into like where you want to be?
Man, so like I said, I used to work at Howard University in the financial aid department. I was the senior scholarship coordinator by the time I left, and I honestly just had to be real with myself. I know I look young, y'all, but I'm in my 30s. So
damn, nah, I'm playing. I'm just playing. Well, I already knew that. Come on now. I'm just playing jokes. They're just jokes.
That's so funny.
Good black don't crack around here. Come on now.
Period.
We all young. We still all young.
You know, 30 years young. I'm not even 30. I'm older than 30.
We ain't got to get in. Look, we all young regardless. I
ain't tell my age. Even though I'm an open book for real. I don't mind telling my age. It don't matter.
We ONs. You know what I mean?
Literally. So I've experienced life, but I was at that job for almost, I think since 2016. I don't know how many years that was. For a long time I worked there, and I kind of grew up, and I learned how to communicate and how to pivot and how to code switch and do all these things in that 9-to-5 type of lifestyle. And I was making money, like I was salary. I was like, I'm straight, I'm cool. And I was also using that money to give back to myself. That's how I was able to make projects and do certain things. And so coming out here, it was, you either gonna stay in this job and work this forever and just kind of keep filmmaking as like the back burner, almost like a part-time, or you're going to take the leap, take the plunge, trust in God, and just go for it. And so the going for it part was the pivot, because I left DC to Atlanta to really be a full-time creative, full-time freelancer, full-time filmmaker. But that was difficult for me because I come from a 9-to-5 lifestyle, right? So I know what time I got to be to work. I know what time I'm going to get off. Now, I will say working in higher ed, especially in financial aid, every day is not the same. I will say that. So it got chaotic, as you can imagine. But, you know, you always expect a salary. You always have your income. You know how much you're going to get paid per week. Living a creative lifestyle, you don't know if you're going to book a gig today, tomorrow. You don't know if you're going, you know, if you're going to book a client, is it going to be a slow month? How's the industry working right now? Is it delayed? Is it work? So it's a little, it's definitely different, because I'm coming from a mindset of a 9-to-5 mindset. Like, I'm working, I'm getting my bread, I know where it's gonna come from. Whereas like now, I gotta hustle, and I gotta be okay to have days where it's all right, maybe you ain't booked no gig, maybe you ain't got no money coming in this week. Like, so what you gonna do? You gonna sit around and cry about it, or you gonna go figure out a way to go get it? And I think that's the difference in general, working a 9-to-5 and then pivoting into a freelance type of environment or creative environment. You have to be okay to not always make money, especially when you're first starting out. You may not get booked for a gig that's gonna pay you no $1,000. You may get booked for a gig that's trying to pay you $200. You may work with the clients that's like, oh, I want to support you and I want to book you, but I got $300. And you also got to kind of know your worth in the beginning. So it's been different. Going from that 9 to 5 to, okay, we freelance and we figuring out. And I will say, I didn't come out here with a plan. I'm really on some dollar and a dream type shit. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm getting older. Financial aid is not feeding my life no more in terms of like my mental health, in terms of physically how I was feeling. I was very stressed. I was a very stressful job. I enjoyed my students. I enjoyed helping people. I enjoyed my coworkers. I enjoyed Howard. However, it was like, it's getting to a point, especially with this administration, higher education is changing anyway. But it got to the point where it was like, you either gonna do it or you not. And it was almost like God was talking to me like, all right, I've been telling you for years, this is what you got to do. You need to pivot, but you're not trusting me. And so I decided to take the leap of faith, you know, because I had that 9 to 5, had some bread stacked up, right? You don't want to just do it breadless. Some people do. Kudos to them. I wasn't going to do that. But I didn't come out here with a plan. And it's surprisingly, it's paying off. I've been able to do more things and book more things and meet people like yourself and just do a lot of different things that I was not expecting in a matter of 2 months. Like, I'm like, yo, like this is crazy. And prior to then, I did a lot of PA work. So I've done How I Caught My Killer for Hulu. I've done Killer X's, Peacock TV. I got the opportunity to work the BET pre-show awards last year, Dreamville Fest 2024. You know, like I've gotten major opportunities within my career. Love is Blind, like as a production assistant, and things that I wasn't even expecting to come. So I was already blessed to have those opportunities, those things on my resume before I came out here. But to be fair, you just gotta go get it as a freelancer, as a creative, and pave your kind of your own way.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. I know.
Right. Kudos to you. You're doing this
I mean,
time.
it's been a minute. Yeah. I mean, so I'm in year 3 of me doing this full time.
And that's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah,
because I was working 9 to 5s and had nothing to do with this. And then year 8 of me having this as a business. So it was really a side hustle when I first got my LLC and really tried to do it as a business, and then transitioned years later into full time. And then this is year 12, 13 of me just doing photography, videography, video editing, cinematography, just all those things. I learned that in high school. Filmmaking in general, just learned all that in high school. So just been picking up different tools of the trade ever since. So I didn't jump off the porch until after I got like some actual formal training, like some coaching in the business side of it. I always knew I was nice with the camera and stuff like that, and nice with the edits. I've been shooting music videos, I shot short films, I did a bunch of stuff. But I didn't know how I can convert it into actual dollars. That's something that made sense. So it wasn't until I actually got coached into those things, and it wasn't until about like 3 years ago that I actually did that. So, and that completely changed a lot of my aspects and how I think in terms of like what it looks like for me to find clients, what it looks like for me to niche down, which is super important when you're working with clients. It's cool to do a bunch of different things, but you don't have to necessarily promote that you do a bunch of different things.
Right.
Just having a niche that you can stick with. If you have different opportunities to do different things, that's perfectly fine. Knowing how to price yourself, how to time manage, it was a lot of new stuff that I had to learn too. Doing taxes differently. Yeah. Like, coming from 9 to 5, because I was in logistics too. Like, I didn't realize how much of that I was kind of taking for granted. I was kind of taking a lot of like not having to pay for my health insurance outright. It's just coming out your check off the rip.
What? Me too. I said health insurance. I gotta pay for that now. Oh, okay. And I'm an adult, so I need it.
Yeah,
and my knees, baby.
Using TurboTax for your taxes because it ain't even nothing crazy. You just, all right, this what the W-2 said. I'm just giving y'all what they said. So when my refund coming? Not getting a refund. I ain't had a refund since. I ain't got no money back. Yeah. Thank God I ain't had to owe nothing. But it's just it's just those types of things that I'm like, wow, it's a lot of things I didn't really consider even when I jumped off the porch. So it's just even in your time so far in Atlanta, like what are some things that you feel like you would want to work on, or just things that you want to continue to grow into the field?
Jumping off the porch. For sure. Like, I think that, I have a lot of the skill set, the talent. So, yes, I do short films and things like that. I've done my own, but I've directed my own short films, produced them, wrote them. Things that I'm learning and skill sets that I didn't take into account is videography work. I would never call myself a DP. I think what DP cinematographers do is magical. I have a lot of respect for people that are camera operators, things of that nature. Now, with videographers, I'm not shitting on videographers, but I feel like it takes nothing really to pick up a camera and try to like kind of piece a recap or something together. But especially when you're working in film, I think it's best to kind of know everything. So that's different for me. Like, I bought a camera years ago, never used my camera. You know, I don't know nothing about my camera. I have no idea too much about camera stuff. I leave that to my DP. Shout out to my DP, Dre. And I just left it to him kind of. And so coming out here, it's a demand for videographers. If you don't know, in Atlanta, it's a demand for videographers. And everybody out here also call themselves a videographer. But it's a demand for it and it's a lane for it. And I'm like, ooh, okay. All right. If it's not necessary that people right now is seeking me as a director or producer, all these things, what can I do to kind of pivot to try to make money, jump off the porch? And I'm like, all right, I need to learn how the camera works. I need to learn how to shoot. I need to learn how to film. And that's going to help me later on become a better filmmaker because I'll be able to communicate with my DP. Editing. I'm not an editor per se. Like, I know little slight stuff, but I do not like to edit. Edit stresses me out. It's overwhelming. I have an editor on my team, but now that he's getting booked and busy, it's like, okay, well, you need to learn how to edit, and you got to be able to pivot in this industry. You can never say you're one thing and just say, that's all I'm going to do, because then, especially when it comes to clientele, making money, if that's your goal, you're never really going to be able to make money. If, you know, clients have a demand for videographers or for editors or whatever, and you don't have that skill set, figure out how to get that skill set. And that's my biggest thing. And also, like you said, turning this passion, this creative field into money, right? How do I get clients? How do I make money from this outside of booking my PA jobs, my film-based jobs and things like that? Because you are a freelancer and getting opportunities to make money, right? If you first start out and you're making, I don't know, what people want to pay you. People offer me something like $300, right? Oh, can you shoot this for $300? Let's say you're going to take it. Like, is it worth your time? Like, just asking yourself those questions, and those are all things I never had to think of before. So just literally jumping off the porch, figuring it out. And what I will say is, if you could do a little bit of research before you jump off the porch, great. Because one thing I will say, talent doesn't get you anywhere. You can be the most talented, the most skilled person behind the camera, director, whatever you want to call it. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's the team around you, the people you network across from that could get you in places. And how bad do you want it? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to put in the work? And so that's one thing I had to, like you said, jump off the porch and learn, is like pick up a camera. Picking up the camera has been like my biggest fear for years, and editing has been like my biggest thing for years. Like, oh, I don't want to do this, because I just have so much respect. It's an art. Like what Ryan does, his I forget her name. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. But his DP that shot Sinners, that shot most of his projects, like, she's amazing. I could never do what it is that she does, but I can learn. That way I can, do my best as a director, as a filmmaker, to try to communicate and be able to communicate kind of what it is that I want. So wearing multiple hats, and one thing for sure, trying to learn the business of making money on my own as an entrepreneur. Like you say, I have an LLC, but I just got the LLC because I was like, well, I need to start writing stuff off of my taxes, and I am creating productions, so why not, but now that I'm in a space of, okay, you have no 9 to 5, given, let's be clear, I could go back to a 9 to 5 any day. I have a certain skill set that it's schools everywhere in Georgia, but it's one of those things where there is no plan B for me. This is plan A, and this is what I plan to do for forever. If I could live off of not making money, I would still choose filmmaking. So just learning the business, learning from people like yourself, networking across, not always up, and just learning what I can in terms of how to make money from clientele, how to even book clientele, like you said, how to not waste my time with certain clients, because that happens where people want to reach out, right? But people don't want to actually spend money when you tell them what the budget is or what you could really do for them. So just learning and pivoting. And I would say to anybody that wants to start out doing this and your goal is to really make money for it, money is important, but understand too, this has to be your passion. it's never going to resonate with somebody if you're just doing this for the sake of money. Oh, I heard that, because I know DP's making $2,000, whatever. You know, like, people, you can make money from this, but they put the time and the effort and the work in to learn their craft, learn what it is that they do in order to be able to get, you know, bookings for $2,000 or, you know, whatever, or $30,000, whatever. Yourself, I'm sure, like, look at all the time that you put into it. Like, oh yeah, I started 3 years ago, now I've been doing it for 12 years. Like, you put time and energy into what it was you was doing. And I think that's important, that everybody, especially people starting out like myself, like, you get to the point of you willing to do that. Like, and how I feel about filmmaking, one thing Nipsey Hussle said is, like, I'm willing to die behind this shit. Are you willing to die behind your dreams? For me, yeah, I am. So
respect, you know. It's funny you mention these things. So you had a recent situation that we was gonna talk offline about. It was a little festival. I mean, it wasn't a little festival. It was one of the major joints that you went with a client. And, you know, I don't know too much about how the shooting process went, but I do know that the editing process was a little hectic for you. You know what I mean? So kind of talk about that so we can maybe talk about a teachable experience through that.
So I worked this festival, and pretty much I'm used to working the actual event. This is my first time going to this festival as like media or following somebody around with the camera. So to be fair, I probably should have been like, ooh, I'm not I'm not gonna do this, because I'm still learning how to work my camera. And it was hectic because it was like 60, 70,000 people at Dreamville Fest. Like, it was a lot of people. So it's a lot of content. And I went into it having a shot list. That's one thing I will say. Have a shot list for everything. Unless it's some type of easy peasy event where it's like, I don't know, 2-minute thing. Even me, especially me starting out, I always just create a shot list. I do storyboards typically too, but that's only for like filmmaking stuff. So anyway, I had my shot list. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to shoot. Then I get out there and I'm like, oh, why is my camera broken? Like, what's going on? And it was like, it was too much light. It was bright. And I'm like used to shooting with my particular camera in low lighting settings. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Why does it look like this? So I'm panicking, I'm freaking out. I'm calling people like, yo, help me. I don't know what to do. Like, so one thing, teachable moment, know your camera settings, girl. Like, know what it is for every certain situation, right? Because I never thought to myself like, oh, it's going to be bright outside. Like, I'm like, oh, every camera setting is going to work for everything. I'm perfectly fine. No, I should have went into that. I should have knew, like, all right, in this event, if it's too bright, if it's too dark, what do I do? Do I change this? Aperture, low light, shutter, what do I do? I know what those things are by definition, but how it pertains to my camera, no. I didn't know. So I went and I was already like, oh my gosh. But then I remember what you said. Nobody could see the footage. Like, nobody's seeing what you're shooting at the end of the day. So if you're behind the camera and you like, oh man, this sucked, like, it's okay. Get that same shot again, keep going again, because nobody can see at the end of the day what it is that you are actually shooting, whether you mess up or whatever. So it went well. After a while, I was like, okay, boom, I feel more comfortable. I started getting more comfortable behind my camera. But then it came to the editing. I just knew that my editor was going to be available, as if he's not booked and busy. Shout out to Chase. But he was booked and busy. And I'm like, oh no, who's going to edit this? Like, I asked Tevin, I'm like, can you edit it? But I need it by a certain day, because in my head with content, and it's slightly true, right? With content or even a client, sometimes they may want something right away. Oh, can you shoot this on Friday and have it to me by Sunday? And I'm still new to it, so it's like, okay, sure. Like, okay, yeah, if that's what you want, you're the client, right? And let me tell you now, set boundaries. I can't do that, right? At this point in my career, I cannot do that. It's too hectic for whatever reason. If you could do it, make it happen, great. If you can't, set that boundary and kind of go into it like that, but I did not. So it came to the editing. You were like, oh, I can only do it this day. I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just have to put my big girl panties on and do the edit myself. And it literally had me shook, because I don't like to edit. is like I feel like if you're gonna edit, then you should kind of already know what song you're gonna use, already kind of have an idea of the layout, and put the thought process into what it is you want to do. Like I said, I had a shot list, but even some of the things on my shot list, it didn't go according to plan. Like a lot of the things that I thought I was gonna get in terms of interviews from the person I was working with, it didn't go that way because she's media. Like she started getting busy. I'm going to listen room, I'm doing this and that. So it was like, so I'm not getting those shots that I kind of anticipated. And I will say you have to be able to pivot. And because I'm newer to the videographer space, it was hard for me to pivot. I'm like used to like the film space, like scripted. Like these are the shots. This is what we're going to get. If we have time for creative shots or different endings, alternative stuff, we can do that. But in the videography world, especially when it comes to event shooting, you have to be able to pivot. Like something, they could be dancing, partying right in front of you. You might be like, oh, snap, that's not on my shot list, but I want to get that. So you got to be able to pivot. And I just think that I bit off a little more than I could chew. But the video came out fire. I started getting booked for that. People was like, yo, it was fire, especially people that I admire that has been doing this much longer than me, giving me compliments. And I'm like, y'all have no idea. So I got real bad anxiety. I'm an anxiety girl. Anxiety girl. And so, yeah, I was stressed because I just had it in my mind that I wanted to do it by Monday. It had to get done by Monday. I don't want it to be over. I want everybody to enjoy what it is that I give them. And I don't want to feel like I'm rushing it. And I felt like I was rushing it. And then my laptop crashed. And that happens to me often. I don't know. Well, I know why. I need to work off a hard drive. That's neither here nor there. My hard drive is also in shambles. But yeah, so it was a lot going on. And you was like, yeah, so is it still old? And it's like, to me, it still was like old content, because I will say in this day and age, like people move on from one thing to the next. Like it went from Dreamville Fest, now it's Coachella. So nobody cares about, unless you're a huge diehard J. Cole fan like I am. A lot of people was like, oh, okay, that's done. Now the Coachella, what are they posting about on social media, whatever the case may be. So I wanted to I wanted to just stick with the times. Like people are about to start talking about Coachella. I don't know if people are going to watch my stuff if I drop it too late. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I will say I do that often. I will put a lot of pressure on myself to get things done in a short amount of time. And it's like, it's not fair to me. But it's also like, don't bite off more than you could chew. So I learned a lot. Don't bite off more than I could chew. Trust my skill sets, because it didn't come out like bad where it was like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. It was like, oh, you can edit. Oh, you can shoot. Okay. And don't doubt yourself, right? Because I went into it self-doubting. It was like, dang, I wish I could have hired a DP. I wish I could have been like, Tevin, what you doing? Like, I wish I could have had somebody shoot this for me, because it's just one of those things. Like, I know I could produce. I know I could write. I know I could direct. But videography work and editing is not my lane. I had to hire people to do that stuff for me. I have a team that I work with to do those things for me. And to that point, my team is back home in D.C. Like, I'm building up rapport with people here in Atlanta. Like, can we collaborate? Can we go service for service? Can we go how much, how low you willing to go? Because I don't got no coins for that. But with all of that in mind, it was very teachable. It taught me to remember that I'm that girl, believe in myself, and also not to put too much pressure on myself, and be realistic with my clients when it comes to time frame. Like, bruh, I can't do it in 2 days.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, it took a lot of what I was going to say out.
Man.
Well, first of all, I mean, J. Cole, I'm sorry, I never made a Dreamville Fest.
What?
I never got to go.
Oh,
the
man.
tears.
It was the last one.
Yeah, I know. Cole, I still love you, my brother, man. I'm talking like I know him. But
Listen,
I'm like,
that's my
brother,
cousin.
man. When you came to Atlanta, I came when you was with 21. I had the shirt in the car, man. I was there, man. That's one of my favorite rappers ever.
Same.
So yeah, I would have found a way to come through if it was on the table. But yeah, all those things that you said.
I should have asked.
Nah, yeah. I mean, look, it's all part of the experience, right? For one, what I mean. Now you got the experience. Now you know. But yeah, all those things. For one, just be over prepared.
Over prepared. Don't under prepare, y'all. And I could be real and be like, I under prepared. I was like, oh, just take my camera. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nah.
And then there's so many people at a festival. Like, I didn't anticipate. Well, obviously, I knew it was going to be a lot of people. And also, I'm coming from a mindset of working these type of spaces, not actually going independently, being a videographer. Like, this is my first time doing something like that.
It's totally different.
I'm seeing it from a different lens versus, oh, I'm working for a festival. I'm working this event. No, it's totally different. It's people everywhere. It's more chaotic. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, my anxiety, even then when I was shooting, because it was so many people, was like, girl, try not to panic. Like, it was a lot of people at Dreamville Fest. Like, it got very overwhelming. And I will say, people nowadays, there's no etiquette to the festival lifestyle. I feel like when I was growing up, I was going to Trelectro and Broccoli City Fest, and I was fortunate enough to go as media, but also working those type of events. And now the etiquette of people like go bump you, step on your stuff, like, it was chaotic, and I was not anticipating it or expecting it. So
yeah, I mean, yeah. So variety of things I want to just touch on with what you said. For one, definitely be prepared for anything and everything. Know the type of environment that you're gonna be in. For two, for three, definitely know your equipment.
yeah,
1,000% know that.
Amateur hour.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you just definitely you gotta know what you working with as much as possible. Fourth of all, man, I don't even know. Basically, you drove there, right?
I drove there.
So you drove there. You got back what, Sunday night?
Well, I spent time. I stayed past that, but you know, because my mama's from North Carolina. We from Taylortown. That's why I'm like, J. Cole part of my cousin, because that's like an hour.
Oh, okay.
Family. It's like an hour away.
Know.
But yes, I ended up staying down there a little bit afterwards, and I did stay to partly work on the edit, because I'm like, if I drive home, Atlanta's like a 6-hour drive. How I'm gonna do the edit? Like, I didn't anticipate none of that. I'm like, how would I do the edit if I drive home? So I stayed there until I got my video, my edit done, could release it, drop it, and I just stayed with my family. But
so, all right. So from what time did you start from shooting to editing, basically?
Well, one thing I will say that I learned from you, that I learned from other videographers, dump your stuff, dump your videos as soon as you drop it. So I had dumped everything, and then also how I shot it, I couldn't find it. And I was like, what is this? What's a AHVP file? Like, where is it? I don't know. How do I open it? So I had to do a bunch of ChatGPT stuff. But I want to say I didn't start it on that Saturday. Dreamville Fest was Saturday. I didn't start it then. I started it that Sunday. And then Monday, I was like, okay, at this point, I also was holding out for dear life. Like, somebody edit this for me. Like, I don't want to edit.
So, yeah. So, basically, it was just like you started, Sunday night.
Sunday night.
And then the goal was to have it done by Monday night.
Yeah.
At the latest Monday night.
The latest Monday night. Yeah.
All right, so that's damn near a same day edit, pretty much, right? More or less. It's not the same day, but it's a little bit extended than that, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't look at the numbers or whatever you got paid to do that. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the client didn't pay you enough to do that.
Right.
It just didn't happen.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, shout out to her, because it was an opportunity. Like,
for sure.
She just she was one of my mentors at PGC. And she pretty much was like, I told her like what the dilemma was, and she's like, just come shoot for me, like pay me a little something. Like, for me, the pressure wasn't coming from her. It was coming from me, because I wanted to do this thing for her and do it well, because I know she believes in me. I know she took the time, and you know, she's a poppin' radio personality within her own. Shout out to Curious Poe. And her taking that and believing in me, I wanted to just do my best and give it a great turnaround and give her something that she could be like, oh, I really liked what you did.
But see, the point I'm really trying to get to is really this, like, realistically, that's cool and that's great that you have a client like that, because some clients aren't like that.
Right. She didn't really put the pressure on me at all. I put the pressure on myself, to be real.
Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's still setting that expectation.
Right.
So it's like, expectation wise, if the edit need to been done by Monday, I would tell the client, hey, I'm gonna have this to you by Wednesday.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
So I should have told myself, I could get this done by Wednesday and it's okay. But then it goes into what's considered trendy at that time may not be trendy by Wednesday.
But see, all that trend don't matter. You see, we worrying about all the wrong things.
See, I'm thinking like a producer. I'm like, it's trending right now. We got to get on it.
And that's cool. And I get it, because it's like, if you say Wednesday and you get it done by Monday, that makes you look fucking amazing, right? But then if you get it done by Wednesday, you still got it done on the time you say you was going to get it done.
True.
So it's
True
like
enough,
it gives
fair
you the
enough.
time to
Fair
give you
point.
the leeway to figure things out, especially since you got to do it on your own. It also gives you the leeway for anything to mess up, like your computer
True.
messed up. You feel what I'm saying?
And
So
that's the thing. Like, I was on schedule. Like, I know I
yeah,
started that
so
Sunday. It was gonna drop that Monday. Like, I had it done, and then
but life don't always work that
my
way.
computer said, "Oh, you think this is cute?
It's
Okay."
the art of under promising and
Yeah.
over delivering.
Yes. And I mean, I have to learn it, but I have to learn that for myself. Like,
100%.
even me as a filmmaker, when I'm doing short films, like the last short film I did was called The Final Chapter. Make sure you go watch it. And with The Final Chapter, I did that. I'm almost embarrassed to say. It took a month. And I knew almost a year before that I wanted to do it. So I rushed everything. And that works, right? But it puts more pressure on myself. It's not like I'm rushing my crew, my team. No. I'm putting pressure on myself because I am director, I am the writer, I am the creator. I know what I want to see. So now I'm rushing my storyboards, this, that, my shot list to get everything done. I was blessed. I used my apartment to shoot that at the time, so we didn't really have to do much. But then I got to throw my crew together. Okay, these are the people. This is how much my budget is. Like, I was rushing to get it done because I knew I want to drop this Halloween, October. Like, it's a short horror film. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. We shot that in September. It was literally, we were editing all the way up until it dropped. And I said, I'm never going to do this again. But then I did it again. And I did some visualizers. I did one called In Shambles. I dropped that in February in honor of Valentine's Day. Fuck my ex. Sorry, had to get that out.
All right.
Had to get it out.
Fuck 'em?
But
Fuck.
it was based on a true story. It was like an experience happened to me in January. And I was like, you know what? He was saying, like, your life is in shambles. And I'm like, whoa, I'm just trying to move to Atlanta. My life isn't in shambles. I'm transitioning. Give me a break. But I felt like he was trying to kick me when I was down. So I was like, you know what? I'm a come up with something. And I thought of something. When he said it in shambles, I was like, ooh, that's actually... It's actually a good title for something. So I did that. I heard Balloon by Tyler, the Creator, and Doechii. And I was like, ooh, I know what I want to do. Like, I saw it in my head. And one thing, most creatives, directors, you see things in your head visually, but then you have to get it out. So I saw this thing in my head, and that happened in like January. I started like, I knew I couldn't do dialogue because I was like, this is going to take too long. But I wanted to still drop a visualizer. So literally, I got my crew. I got my location. I did it. We did it in 2 weeks. And it was important to me to do it prior to me leaving for Atlanta because this is my crew. I felt almost like if I don't get this done before I move to Atlanta, it won't get done. So 2 weeks, we did it. And produced it, directed, did all that stuff in a matter of 2 weeks. And I did that same thing with my series called Her Stories. I hit up a bunch of people that I knew, that I wanted to work with, that inspired me, Black women in the industry, whether it was like they were artists, they were dancers, they were DPs, filmmakers, whatever. I hit up everybody, and literally I locked in my sponsor 2 weeks prior to us filming. And even then, my DP, he ended up getting sick, and that's somebody I work with all the time. So I had to pivot, and I pivoted, and we got it done in 2 weeks. And I told myself, I said, this is not the move. We will not do this anymore. It's great that they turned out great. I think the feedback on it was really great, and I'm glad that people loved it. But at the end of it, my crew isn't really suffering, right? I'm suffering because I'm the one that's putting it together, looking for the sponsorship. Where's the location? I got to put the money. Like, it was so much pressure that I put on myself. And I told myself with my next upcoming projects, whether that be a short, whatever I decide I'm going to work on, I'm going to give myself that pre-production time. It's really important. Take these L's from me, okay? Because one thing, baby, I could teach you how to take some L's and bounce back from it. But don't put that much pressure on yourself. Again, it worked out for me, but if it hadn't worked out for me or I hadn't been over time or schedule, then I would have been out here looking crazy because, like you said, I would have under deliver and over promise, but to myself, to my crew, like to my cast. So it worked out. It did. I did everything in literally 2 weeks or less, a month or less, and it kept working out. And I'm grateful, but I said, oh, I can't do this no more. So next project I work on, I want to put at least 6 months into my pre-production process, just pre-production, like getting the crew together, figuring these things out. What do I want? Scouting the locations, literally 6 months minimum into my pre-production space. Then, because once you shooting it is the easy part, right? Like, it depends on what it is that you're working on. Sometimes things can take you a day. Like, I'm very planned out too when I do production. And one thing I want to say, if you are an aspiring filmmaker, be prepared for anything to happen on set. People might run behind. I was in the middle of my set and somebody's car got towed. I'm like, what? Like, we had to stop production. I have to pivot because I'm like the director. I am, the EP on this project. So I have to make sure everything is going well. So that caused us to push back time. So just be prepared for the unexpected. You could have your time. You could have your end goal, your short time. I will say, especially if you're in a time frame where you have to be out of a location by a certain time, then you got to do what you got to do. But if you have locations, try to use locations that are free. Try to use locations where you don't, you're not rushing yourself. Because I've made that mistake, especially early on when I first did my first short film. Things weren't going according to my time frame as a producer. And I'm like, dang, we're over time. Like, we're supposed to be out of here by now. And at that time, I didn't know how to pivot. Like, how do I pivot? Now, that don't bother me. We're going to be over time. I'm going to keep us on time as much as I can. If we're going to be over time, I'm going to just kind of pay attention to it. I don't know. I think all of those L's and those lessons that I've taken is preparing me to be a better director, EP, all that stuff down the road. So,
of course, yeah, it's all part of the learning process.
Man,
As long
as you learn,
you
gotta be okay to learn. And
learn from the mistakes and just be better from it. Every area, prepare, execute best as possible. Comes with great preparation, great communication. Just giving yourself that grace too.
I'm not good at that.
Hey, you got to.
I do not give myself grace. I could give everybody else grace around me, but I'm very hard on myself because I just know the things that I want, the things I'm capable of doing. So I don't like to make mistakes. Like,
for sure.
But I learned in this field that mistakes are a part of it. If you don't make a mistake, then you're not learning anything. You're not growing. You can't go out there and think you're going to be perfect. I remember when I first started talking to you, I was like, yeah, but I don't want to do it unless it's perfect. And you're like, it's not realistic. It's not a realistic goal. You're never gonna go do videography work or edit or do anything if you feel like it has to be perfect. Because even to my point with the Dreamville Fest stuff, I was like, it's not the best I could do. I could do more. Like, I wanted to be perfect. But then I was like, I already missed my deadline of Monday for myself. Let me go ahead and drop it Tuesday. So I dropped what I dropped, but it still turned out great, but I still was overly critical. I'm an overly critical person. Like, I could have did this better. Even with my edits, I love my editor, Chase. Shout out to Chase because I know he'll be like, her story, I had him edit because I know I'm very particular. I know what I want. And I had him edit one portfolio 8 times. And it's like, it doesn't bother him because he's an editor. This is what he enjoys doing. But it's like, dang, like, I'm very particular. And if something isn't how I see it, especially in my head, it's hard for me to be like, this is perfect. So I'm trying to, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm definitely learning. Procrastination is definitely my thing. I procrastinate my way through life a lot of the times, if I'm being real. A lot of people procrastinate though. It's a bad thing. Like, it's not a good habit to have, but I'm a human. I'm transparent. Like, that's the thing I have. I'm a procrastinator. Like, so I knew a year ago that I wanted to make my film the final chapter, and I didn't start working on it until, I started working on it in August, but I didn't have my script all the way together. But I still was like, I want to drop in October. So that's what I'm going to do. Procrastination. Like, you knew that, then you should have maybe started working on it in June, July. And things happen in life that make you procrastinate. Like, whether it's, okay, now I'm not focused on this. Something came up in my personal life, right? I'm not just sitting around. But if I was just sitting around, that'd be a problem. But
I mean, look, it's all part of the process. We're going to definitely talk more offline about what you could and can't do. But we got to go ahead and go to break. When we come back, we're going to hit you with some of that trivia, before you get up out of here. We got to hit you go crazy. So stay tuned. This video is sponsored by Chop House Media Group. Now listen, podcasting is hard. All All right, there's a lot of moving parts to a successful podcast, whether it be the shooting side, the post-production side, the audio mixing and mastering. Just having the right strategy and know how to even get this podcast in the right places and getting it into the right positions to get monetized. And that is where Chop House Media Group helps out at. We have coined the phrase the podcast in the box, where we pretty much facilitate anything and everything that you need to run a successful podcast, between the production, the post-production, the strategy, and tips and tricks that you need to be 1,000% successful in every single aspect of your podcasting career. Now, if you are interested in being a part of this and making sure that you get your podcast to the next level, whether you are just now starting out your podcast or you are already in the podcasting field but want to take it to another level, be sure to hit the link below and schedule your free consultation with us to make sure that we get your podcast up and going further than you can ever imagine. All right, again, thank you to Chop House Media Group for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the show. And we back. All right, so we are here for the trivia part of the show. If you didn't know, this is how it go.
Okay.
I got my producer Javane in the back. Say, what's up, Javane?
What up?
He's going to ask you 3 trivia questions. You get 2 of the 3 right, you get a cash prize. Get 2 of the 3 wrong.
Get the money?
Get a little money on, a little chili. Okay. You know what I mean? If you get 2 out of 3 wrong, though, we gonna give it to the audience. You know what I'm saying? So how you can get it as an audience member, first and foremost, you gotta be subscribed to the YouTube channel. Second of all, you gotta comment below your favorite moment from this episode. You know, we dropped a lot of gems here, so if you ain't learned nothing by now, I'm sure you learned a little bit of something. So
Just got a thick skull at that point.
You know what I mean? You guys drop something down in the comments and be sure you like the video too for more too. So, Jermaine, what you got for us, man?
All right, cool. So today, your questions are brought to you by our sponsors at ChatGPT. And
ChatGPT really not sponsoring.
They're not really sponsoring.
I make no money from them.
No, but if they want
to, I do too. But that's $1 billion industry that's not paying us.
Sam,
so we want to make sure
Sam, if you want to hit us up, Sam Altman, CEO, founder, you know, like
all this stuff.
Yeah, hit us up. We'll definitely
we'll take
that
real
sponsorship
money for it. Yeah, so it's like it's an unofficial sponsor. Like we just rock with y'all more than anything.
Yeah,
it's more support.
The world is rocking. With
yeah.
Okay.
So I got 3 questions for you. They all surround filmmaking or related. So yeah, let me know when you're ready.
All right.
Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, cool. So first question is, what filmmaking technique involves shooting scenes out of chronological order to enhance storytelling? And so I'm gonna give you it's multiple choice.
Okay, I was like, what?
Yeah. So A is a montage, B non-linear narrative, C a time lapse, or D handheld shooting. Which
no. Okay, and ask me the question again. You said chronological.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chronological. Yeah.
Okay,
it's the accents.
Listen, they blended.
Kicking my butt right now. It happens from time to time. It happens when you speak 1.5 languages.
Oh.
I say half.
All right, talk your talk. You know what
I mean?
Yeah, what filmmaking technique involves shooting scenes out of
chronological
order to enhance storytelling? So A, montage, B, nonlinear narrative, C, time lapse, or D, handheld shooting.
Y'all gonna eat me up. I think it's montage, but I don't know. I know what a montage is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say montage. Yeah.
That's your final answer?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So the answer is actually non-linear.
I was gonna say linear. Yeah, time. Okay.
Yeah.
That was my next choice.
Okay.
But whatever.
All right,
it's
cool.
all good. You still got 2 more.
You still got 2 more.
That's why I said, Lord, y'all gonna find out. Look, I'm an independent.
Yeah.
I ain't go to film school, y'all.
You will at least learn something today.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, film school ain't gonna teach you nothing, no way.
Exactly.
So I got my degree. I got to tell you.
You can say that.
Yeah, Carrie. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, brother. It's enough about it.
All right. Question number 2 is, which of these directors is known for filming entire movies in a single take or using long uninterrupted shots? A is Christopher Nolan. B, Alejandro Gonzalez. Don't know how to say his last name. C, Quentin Tarantino, or D, Sofia Coppola.
Well, shout out to all those people. I'm not even quite sure who those people are. So I'm gonna go. I know. I know.
So best.
I'm gonna say Quentin. That's my guy.
I don't know the answer, so
You don't know the answer?
Yeah,
I
I didn't make the
thought you
questions.
answered these. Okay.
No, he didn't make the questions.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Leave me
responsible for
completely
yeah.
unbiased.
Yeah.
Okay.
This process,
I would say
you know.
Quentin, but I don't know if that's
Okay.
right.
So, have you seen Quentin Tarantino's works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Like
all right.
Pulp Fiction, Jackie.
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah, all that.
It doesn't get at, but I don't know.
You saying long continuous shots?
Yeah, like no cuts, no cuts,
right, no cuts.
Yeah, nothing like that. Uninterrupted.
Maybe it is Christopher Nolan. I don't know.
All right. So your final answer is Quentin.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually Alejandro Gonzalez. Blah blah blah. I don't
Who
know.
is
Okay,
that?
name his
Enlighten
movies
me.
though. Name his movies.
Birdman.
I ain't watched
I
that.
don't
That
know
was
what-
Okay.
I was saying it. That's
when
why I'm like, no
Batman didn't play
disrespect.
Batman that one time. Name another movie he did.
You lost me. But the only reason, my reasoning behind
I'm like, I don't
choosing,
know that.
well, I'm not saying it's my reason for choosing him, why I would have chosen him, because I don't know his work that much, but I know the other people's work. And
That's
I know
true.
they
That's
don't.
I'm like,
Process
I know it's not
elimination. Yeah.
Quentin,
Oh, okay.
but that's
Yeah.
true. Process of elimination.
Put in
That's
that
what I'm like,
that schoolboy work.
No,
you
Christopher
don't know the answer for
Nolan
real, so you
and
just be
Quentin.
like,
Yeah, we know the other people.
That's
yeah, because I'm
true.
like Christopher Nolan. I'm like, I thought of every movie. I can't think of no continuous
That's true.
shot.
I
in none
just
of them
said the
joints.
person that I knew.
Yeah,
instead
and that
of
makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Realizing like you ain't never seen them shots in those movies, but
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
So
'cause
see,
that's who I knew.
we
That's
all
my mind.
learning today.
We are.
We
'cause
all learning, and
But
that's
he only
a good
made
thing.
one movie though.
Yeah,
Birdman?
He got,
Birdman.
but that was the most famous one.
Now, if you would have said what's a continuation shot, that would have been different.
True.
I knew that.
Oh, now I
True.
gotta see.
No, you gotta look it up, right?
Birdman.
Yeah,
Birdman.
you can
I'm
go
gonna
there.
look up Birdman too.
You
Okay.
can go to the next question, but I'm gonna look
There
too.
was one a few years ago. It wasn't from him. That war movie, 1917. That was also like a movie that was shot as like a continuous.
I like that movie too.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And you know what? Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
That
So it's,
what is it called? They cried together. We
Oh, he
Cried
made The
Together?
Revenant with
Oh well, The Revenant would have been a better.
That would have been a better one to know.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
seen
because
that.
Maybe
he
next
got
time.
mauled by that bear. yeah, that
next
definitely was a
time.
one shot. Yeah.
That movie was amazing. I'm sorry, sir, if you ever see this. I didn't know. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna learn more about people in film too. That's a goal.
I know about people, but I didn't know this guy like that.
I know about the people I know.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah,
what it
well,
is.
Like
yeah,
Lee
we all do
Johnson,
that.
Yeah.
David Duvernay, Jordan Peele.
I don't know much about the others like that.
Black
I know
folks,
the
no
brothers.
shade. Quentin, to a point.
Yeah,
To
the
a
only
point,
ones I would
'cause-
even expect to know is Birdman and The Revenant. These other
that's
ones I ain't
it.
never seen before.
But
That's
you know
it.
what? And I'm like, I need to learn more of the terminology and stuff. I am a film head. So if
Yeah.
you ask me things about movies or quotes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I might get those, but I'm not gonna know. That's
Okay.
all.
He won 4 Oscars. I mean, congratulations.
Whoa, I feel so bad that I'm gonna look these
It be
people.
Man,
like
no
that though,
disrespect.
because it's
It's
like
like-
a cultural thing though. Like if certain things that get
What's
praised
the Spike
as
Lee shot? Dolly shot. You
right,
know, like
right,
what?
like if
Come on.
it's not part of your like culture or like what's in your culture, it's like really hard to like venture out of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
that,
made a lot
'cause
of like.
what's important to one culture isn't important to.
Right.
Yeah,
or
so he's
doesn't get the
Hispanic.
same.
He's made a lot of Hispanic movies.
And
Yeah.
that's dope. I probably should know.
So I don't know, but I don't know.
Black,
these movies
black
either.
and Puerto Rican. I should do more.
You will,
Yeah,
you will
Yeah.
eventually.
Eventually, I get it.
Yeah.
So it's safe to say the audience got your money.
All right, cool. We can still do the third one.
No, do the third one.
All right,
Let's do
cool.
it.
I don't want you to give up on that.
I want to learn.
All right, cool. So while Tevin continues to look up his
I already told you only 2 of them I know.
Birdman.
Birdman and The Revenant.
Herb.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The
All
I
right.
Revenant.
thought of Lil Wayne, but
Yeah, Birdman's like basically the dude who played Batman was not playing Batman.
He wasn't
but it's
really
like
Batman.
a
Yeah.
Allegory for him playing Batman and being known for playing
I
Batman.
like movies with
basically.
the little allegory metaphors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay.
But I've only seen pieces of it. I never saw all the way through.
Well, I'll watch it now.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not.
There you
as
go.
far I was told it was a good movie.
Okay.
You get put on to stuff.
All right.
All right,
That's
so-
on my money.
Number 3. When a creative director is overseeing a brand campaign, their primary responsibility is to A, film and edit the content, B, approve scripts and designs, C, set the overall visual and conceptual tone, or D, handle payroll for the crew.
Wait, say it again.
The question or the answers?
The question.
The question is, when a creative director is overseeing a brand campaign, their
Okay.
primary responsibility is to film and edit the content, approve scripts and designs, set the overall visual and conceptual tone, or handle payroll for the crew.
Well, it's not the handle payroll for the crew. We know they don't do that. The creative director is going to be the person that, well, I don't know exactly what you said, but that's going to be the person that oversees the visual of what's happening on set. I don't know which one that is, but
That's C. You want to go with that one?
Then, yeah.
All right.
That's what they're going to be doing.
Correct.
Yeah, because I know what a creative director does.
Yeah, that's why I put that one on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
made it
All right,
easy.
cool. See,
Cool.
You know what I mean? You made it through. You know what
I got
mean?
one.
You got one. You know what I mean?
30 for 30.
Hey, that's all, that's all that matters. So yeah, to win the cash prize, like I said, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment below your favorite part of this interview. Right before you get up out of here, please let them know how they can find you, how they can book you. You know what I mean? Just like where can we get at you?
Yeah, so thank you so much again for having me. I had a good time. I was a little nervous. I'm usually behind the camera, not in front of it. But people can find me at Creations Beyond Limits. That's my brand. That's what I shoot under. And you could book me coming soon. I'm working on my website. There will be a little website launch and all that stuff in store for people that want to connect with me. So in the meantime, you could just email me. Same thing, creationbeyondlimits@gmail.com. Follow me on there. And then I have my personal page. It's more related to who I am as a person. That's Raw Emotions on Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, just hit me up. I'm personal. You want some advice? Maybe I could teach you something. Maybe you could teach me something. I'm with it.
Cool, we with it. You know, thank you again for being on the show.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Appreciate having you. Again, it's another episode of Chop Logic in the books. Like I said before, if you didn't know, got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Be sure to like this video. Let us know your favorite moment. And look, we out of here. So we'll catch you next time. Peace.